Yo, what's good, people? All right, so if you got a short attention span and you like hearing fake shit all over the internet, then go ahead and go past this video because this video is not finna be what that is, right? I want to keep it real with y'all. I want to keep it real. So, in this entrepreneurial world and this world of business, and somebody like myself who's a corporate worker and having that transition, that full transition into entrepreneurship and doing their own thing, you have to understand that most people really don't want good for themselves. Now, what I realized in going through this process is there's two types of ways that you're going to get rich through your journey, whether you're just starting out, whether you're in the middle. And what I've realized is that you're either buying or selling to people. You're selling people some type of, maybe something in your mind, consulting, your program, or you're buying stuff that's going to make you wealthy, that's going to cash flow, or you're selling stuff that's going to make you cash flow. If you're selling something, you got two different ways in selling and buying. Either you're selling and buying at a high price and low volume, or you're selling and buying at a high volume at a low price. Either way, what I've been realizing is that people say they want results, but they really don't want the results for themselves. It's not about tactics, it's not about strategy, because you have individuals that go to tons of seminars to get all the information they need, but they still haven't developed up here. They still don't have that personal development to really make that decision to go after the results that they be crying for all the time. And so I started coaching people, and I talk about this triple T method that I basically, thought of. And it's 3 T's. It's transparency, transition, and then tactical. And the transparency is really being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself and telling yourself, why do you act like the way you do now? Why are you operating money like this? Why do you act a certain way when this happen? What's like your trigger points to kind of get away from that old mindset to get you to the new mindset of the results that you want? And then you go over to the transition, where when you get out of that mindset, you start to drift over to the next stage in your life, and you start kind of enduring and seeing all these different things. It's like when you start a job and you make it 50,000, and then years later you get that promotion and now you're making 6 figures. That's a transition into a completely different realm, right? And then you have the tactical, which is all the strategy and techniques and tools you need to use to continue to grow and to continue to scale up in your life, in your business, your career, and whatever you want to. And people don't even want to complete the first T, because those 3 T's, you're going to go through them multiple times. It's not like a one and done. You're going to go through each step, and that's the way you're going to elevate. But most people are not even honest with themselves. They're not honest with themselves. If somebody's selling something or if somebody's buying something, that other individual may not be to a point mentally where they can really accept the truth of the matter or the truth of the situation to actually take action to fulfill what they need to fulfill and go forward with their lives. I was on a call not too long ago, and it's a coaching call, I guess, in a sense, to kind of coach other coaches. And one person was struggling with having people purchase a $40 a month membership, which is crazy. It's just $40, right? People spend that within a couple minutes, let alone spending $40 a month on some results. And some people, they will spend $40 a month and expect to get $10,000 results, $100,000 results. And then you got some people that don't want to even spend the $40 a month. Honestly, people don't do shit when you give it to them for free. And so I realized the difference between the coaches that sell low ticket items and the coaches that sell high ticket items. It doesn't even matter what price you're selling it at, because people want to know that what you're offering is going to help them, right? But at the same time, if they're not getting out of their own way, they're not going to pay for a $10,000 program, and they're not going to pay for a $30 program because they can't get out of their own way to make something happen. Funny thing, a lot of people seem to act like NPCs. And if you don't know what an NPC is and you play video games, non-playable character. People act like NPCs, and they're living in this, they're viewing themselves from third person. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that they're living in the background for their own lives. You're watching yourself not do any action towards what you want to go to. You're living in the background and watching yourself not take action and sit around and make excuses and play victim all the time. Now, I'll be honest, in this world of capitalism, I do believe that there should be some type of balance, right, between capitalism and socialism. There should be type of balance. One person shouldn't be making a ton of money. They should definitely make a significant amount of money, but not so much to where if they're making a lot of money, then they're definitely charging a lot for their product, to where a lot of people probably can't even afford it. And it's okay to have somebody rich, long as all the other people that's not rich can at least afford the lifestyle. You see what I mean? Or at least enjoy the hard work that they put in to get that money to go spend it on something that they enjoy. And, you know, the contradictions for some people is that they say they don't like billionaires, or they say they don't like millionaires, but let's say what happens whenever they become millionaires. Do they change and operate differently? Or do you want something to happen for you but not for them, and be contradictory to what you're saying? And I'll give you a perfect example. It's funny to me how people complain every day and say stuff about, well, we got to pay tax whenever we get paid. We got to pay sales tax when we buy stuff. And then we got to pay tax on this and tax on that. But then when like Trump doesn't want to show his tax returns because people say, oh, he's not paying his fair share of taxes. He's not paying taxes. If you're making all that money, why do you want Uncle Sam so bad to come take your money? Why not look at the ways to legally get around not having to pay for taxes, instead of complaining that somebody else is not paying for taxes? The same thing you complain about because you keep paying for taxes, right? It makes no sense to me. And then the thing that trips me out about some people is, and this is stuff that you're gonna see in this journey. Everything I'm telling you is stuff that you're gonna realize in this journey. And I just want to point it out because there's not a lot of people that talk about this on the internet. If there's any to talk about this on the internet, they're gonna show you the glamour and the glitter and all that shit. I'm here to give it to you real, right? And you know, the truth of the matter is, people like to make excuses, whether it be valid or invalid. A lot of excuses that people try to use is, you know, this is God's timing, or, you know, the devil, you know, is preventing me from doing that, and God this and devil that. And it's like, don't you got free will? You know, don't the Bible say you got free will? And I'm not even a church person like that, right? I was raised in a church, great. But, you know, don't you have free will? So if you have free will, how can you blame God saying that it's not your time, or blame the devil because he's holding you back from reaching what you want to reach? Don't blame these different entities because your ass lack action in what you want to achieve with the results you want in the future. And you know, this recently has been another transparency moment for me, learning about the true meaning of the nice guys finish last. Because it's so funny. People see some of the stuff I do online. They see some of the deals we're closing. They see the knowledge that I'm putting out on the different videos to try to educate people. And when people want to get in deeper and really understand something, and I understand that I value my time, and I start charging, nobody wants results now. You want results? I guess they expect it for free. And what I'm here to tell you is, if you know your information is valuable, do not let your time be used for free. Make sure that you are setting an hourly rate. Make sure you're setting a charge, because the information you learned took you years. And I'm just not going to sit around and sit here for years and give something for free. You know what I mean? So some of the lessons that I learned from growth is just growing and going through this journey. There was a time where you come up humble, and then when you start making it, people are going to look at you as cocky. They're going to say something like, oh, you changed, or you did stuff like that. It's happened to me already. They're going to say, oh, man, you changed. You don't do this no more. You don't do that no more. And in reality, they haven't grown. They haven't mentally grown. They have not had any personal development, and they can't see themselves at the level that you're at or even higher, especially when you start doing better than them. Because when you see a lot of people that are successful around each other, ain't nobody talking shit about each other. They trying to lift each other up to get to the next level. They not talking shit. It's the people that's always below you that's talking shit. Or if somebody's above you and you surpass them, they're gonna be talking shit. Oh, you cocky now. You know, you this, and that. Look, you can't satisfy everybody. You can't satisfy everybody. Be ruthless with your time. Make sure you're making your time valuable and charge people. Simple as that. Charge them. People confuse being confident with cocky because they're not on that level mentally, and probably not even on that level spiritually, financially, physically, whatever other LY terms you want to put at the end of that. So I wrote something down here about money and value, right? And remember, I just said you need to charge, but this is what I said. Here's the contradiction for people, right? So people want help until you charge, right? But then when you do it for free and you're not making any money and you barely making ends meet, if you making ends meet, people gonna clown you for being broke. Now, when you start to charge because you gotta eat, unfortunately, we gotta pay the bills. Now you're too greedy. Now you're too greedy because you're charging. But you was clowning me when I was broke. Fuck what everybody else saying. Do what you feel is right within moral and just stay focused. Time equal money. So if time equal money, you know, money is too expensive to like waste it on things that don't bring you wealth. It's too expensive. And money is an access thing. It's a tool. How many tools do you have access to? Can you grab this amount of money? Or can you only grab this little bit of money? And if you're going to dedicate a lot of time to it, make sure you optimize your time where you can grab a lot of money so it's actually worth getting it. Because money is too expensive. And if I want to tie metrics to it, just imagine the interest rates are high right now. And a lot of people are not really buying homes like that. But nobody's going to do that because money is too expensive to use that money to go buy a house, to live in it, that's going to take your money away anyway. So money is too expensive to not really optimize how you're going to operate this throughout this journey of whatever you have, business, career, you know, coaching, whatever you're doing on your end. And so I'll leave the video at this. You know, if you're a person that's going through the journey like I am, right? And this is a good video because I want later in the future, whenever I get to the point where I'm online and now I'm posting all my Lambos and my Ferraris and I'm posting all this other stuff that people love to see online. So they can call me cocky, they can call me arrogant, they can say, oh, you don't care about the little people no more. They can say all this type of stuff. I used to pay a CPA a few $100s. And when he basically leveled up in a sense, he was working with clients, he was charging thousands an hour. And you know what he told me straight up? He said, man, I can't even work with you no more. I work with these high level people. I was like, yo, hey, all good, man. I'm happy that you are able and at the point to where you're charging thousands and not working with little old people like me when I'm paying, you know, a couple $100s. But I say that to say, you know, make sure that you're being honest with yourself. Make sure that you're continuously growing. And the biggest lesson that I've learned over the years is to detach from this journey, because if you attach to it too much, you're gonna fall into what I call like a forceful situation. And if you've ever read the book Power versus Force, and I'll put a link if you have it in the description, that book will give you a great comparison on what happens when you apply force to trying to achieve something and what happens when you apply power. And I've applied force for so much of my life and shit does not work. And when I put in a little work, I sit back and chill. I put in a little work, I sit back and chill. That's where that power comes into play, and you're able to start seeing a lot more things come to fruition, a lot more things manifest. So make sure that you detach from it, make sure that you keep going, and make sure that you stay within your morals. You know, you can make a lot of money and you know, stay within your morals, you know, to an extent if you're making billions and you've messed over somebody. But just make sure that you stay the course, stay the path. And to all the NPCs out there, it's like what Morpheus said in The Matrix.
Most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
That message is probably the strongest message that you will hear out of any movie that's ever came out in the history of mankind. So, hey, until my next video, I hope this information kind of gave you some insight on what goes on, at least in my mind, in the journey of an entrepreneur and a business person, whatever title you want to put on there. Look, I just want to make the money, get some fast cars, and go travel with the family. That's all I want to do. Don't want nothing else from it. Help other people make some money, help other people get some real estate, and just take it from there. Till next time, deuces.